I'm working with Castor on petting his hindquarters and doing some progress with where he's at haltering right now. So I cut out the beginning of this video because it was just a review, and then I wanted to work on me just standing near his hindquarters because he's still a little bit concerned about that. I don't think he's necessarily too worried. I think he just thinks I'm supposed to be by his neck and his shoulder, and so he's just confused. There might be a little bit of tension in there, but I think overall it's mostly just he thinks I'm supposed to be in a different spot. So it's not a big deal. We're just going to go slow and try to make sure that he thinks me standing all the way around him is good too. So not just in that one spot. So I asked him to come back, and then I'm going to kind of work my way back toward his hindquarters. I'm just going to work on petting him as I do it because that way he can kind of understand that he's supposed to stay in one place and I'm going to move. It's not just me walking back there and him thinking maybe he should yield his hindquarters or follow me. So it's a little bit more clear. And then later on, when he's not doing just training in protective contact, hopefully it'll transfer. And while I'm grooming and stuff, I can go around him or tack him up or whatever, and he'll understand the difference. So I'm just going to work on some petting here. Again, like in my last video, I think I was like, why am I petting so much? I'm not really sure. I think my best answer is that I think I was trying to pet and until he relaxed a little bit more, which I don't think is necessarily going to work because he's worried about the petting in general. So I should have just done a couple of strokes and then built up my duration. But he's doing okay. He looks a little tense in his neck, and I think he's more just like, okay, what are you doing back there versus anything else. So he's just, because he had his neck kind of turned toward me, he was looking at me like, here, he wants to kind of look and put his head up over the fence. I don't think he's necessarily super worried. There's a little bit of tension in there just because he's like, what are you doing? But he's not like, oh my gosh, don't touch me there, that's scary. So that's good, but I do have to reposition him quite a bit. So see, like here, he takes a step, then he stops, so that's good. So I should have broken it down a little bit more. Maybe started his shoulder, done some petting, worked my way back a little bit because I don't think he's understanding it here. I'm not breaking it down enough for him. See, every time I come up, he's like, I'm supposed to leave. He's thinking it's more of a yield your hindquarters because I had already taught him that. So he's a little bit more concerned. So I should have just clicked and fed here for him coming over and then started maybe on his shoulder, pet a little bit, click and feed, and then kind of work my way back and then build up the duration of me standing back there and how long I'm petting him for. So that was a better time. I should have done it still the way I just described it, but it did work. But if I had to do it again, that's how I would do it. But because I think he just was confused, I was being unclear. So just a little confused that day. That day he decided he's gonna be an Appaloosa because he saw his butt's all dirty. But um, there, he got that a lot better. So he was understanding that a little bit more. He still wants to kind of push his hindquarters over, but he stood while I went back there and I went a little bit further. He's still he's getting close. He's like, I'm supposed to be over here. And he's bringing his head over there. There we go. I should have clicked and fed at that first like two strokes there because that was exactly what I wanted. I shouldn't spend quite this much time because I should have been more clear to him what I want so he didn't have all that unnecessary movement. But I think I was just waiting for him to relax. I'm not sure why. This was in the beginning where I was still kind of mixing a lot of things, a lot of negative and positive reinforcement, which isn't bad, but for Castor and the Mustangs that I have in general, the positive reinforcements seem to work a whole lot better. So I think that just slowed me down. But this looks good. So again, I would have clicked and fed here and then went back and given him his treat and then tried again instead of this long amount of time. But he is doing really well right here. He's starting to figure it out a little bit more, even with the not all the information that I've been giving him. I haven't given him a whole lot, so he's doing really well. Like Atlas, I don't do the same process with. He was in protective contact, but not a lot. And so it's a little bit different process, but it's interesting to see the two different things. But if I was moving that much with him, he would have just left at this point, I think. So I think that's interesting to see the difference. So we made progress on that, and I kind of wanted to show where he's at with the halter. He's still a little worried about that leather halter. I think for him it smells weird and it makes sound and it's scary. So here he's a little worried, he's backing up, he's not super sure. So I take it off, try again, and that was a better attempt. It is easy to be like, oh, the halter goes on and worry about just getting it on, but I have to go through each step. Is he relaxed when it's an inch from his nose? Is he relaxed while it's touching his nose? And then all the way up to where it's actually on him. But he is getting better. He would just kind of back up and get tense at the sight of it. So we are getting some progress to where I can slip it on his face. So that does look a lot better. So he's doing well.